Huzur, could you kindly put light on the difference between the existence of God and the manifestation of God?
You didn't ask your question with reference to any verse this time.
All Holy Quran.
All the whole Quran. So first translate this. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Aisha, how are you? Please. The question which has been raised is about the existence of God and His manifestation of His own self. This is a very wide question which relates to everything in the universe. It depends on how you observe the manifestation. Existence is something which can only be seen through manifestation in case of God. Because eyes cannot see Him, you cannot touch Him, the five senses, all of them, cannot directly reach Him. They only become aware of His existence from a personal point of view when He reaches the five senses. لا تدركه الأبصار وهو يدرك الأبصار وهو اللطيف الخبير. Absar just does not relate to the eyes. It relates to the senses altogether. The five sources of awareness of Allah's or anybody else's existence. So try as much hard as you like, your five senses will just have to wait. It's Allah who reaches them. Senses do not reach Him. This is the relationship between the manifestation and His existence. Whether He manifests Himself to the five senses or does not, He still exists. Moreover, His reaching the five senses is constantly done in a very subtle way. وَهُوَ يُدْرِكُ الْأَبْصَارِ also means that constantly He manifests Himself to the senses. For them to register the fact or not to register the fact is up to them. Now when you think over the universe, everything you concentrate on would lead you to God. That is that is to say, He has already manifested Himself to the five senses through His creation, through the qualities and properties He has put into everything He creates. Whenever you think of these things and penetrate, you always draw the conclusion, رَبَّنَا مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا سُبْحَانَكَ فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. But for that you have to be ulul albab. But the relationship between this verse, ulul albab verse, and the verse La tudrikul absar has become very clear now. In the one meaning, the meanings of this verse are many. But one meaning to which I am referring now is La tudrikuhul absaru wa huwa yudrikul absar. Although five senses cannot reach Him, but He always reaches them, constantly. And when people open the eyes of their mind and the windows of their brain, suddenly they begin to see things which they previously did not notice. So you have to be ulul albab before you can receive the message from Allah and you can begin to bring the dark of whatever He says to you. So that is one meaning. He's constantly manifesting himself. The second meaning is that he occasionally does so in a grand display of his existence and his power, so as the eyes are overwhelmed by that sight. All other five senses are astounded at what they observe. That manifestation can take place in the physical world as well as in the spiritual world. In the physical world, when there are huge storms or great earthquakes, man, however big he is, however powerful he thinks he is reduced to a mere nothing when he sees the grandeur of these forces of nature spread over a wide area. He has no place to run to, no defense of great buildings and powerful manufacturing of powerful planes, etc., or ships, etc. Whatever you can conceive can give shelter to man at such times becomes useless. Only recently, a series of films were shown on television in which great events of earthquakes, etc., and eruptions and heavenly disturbances of grave nature. The sky bursts into flames with immense energy. All these things were shown on a series of television. And if you had seen that, you had witnessed, you might have witnessed what I am trying to explain. At all such times, the aeroplanes do not work, the ships do not work, no mode of travel can be put to any of them. The nature is so fast, so inundating, so overwhelming, that you see men and buildings and their handiwork carried along the floods like small straws. Nothing is left. Some areas were shown where warnings had been given, and people were ready to receive the storm. They had fortified their buildings with bars and things, and they said, "No, we are safe." When the flood came, it carried away everything along. The building, the land along with it, just small toys in the waves of water. And the waves were huge, which would remind those who had read the Bible about the waves of Noah's time. Those who read the Quran would also visualize that period. So that is his manifestation. His manifestation even to the non-believers. And what is shown there on television in the recorded history of what happened, because some people were ready to record live recording, to make live recording of whatever was going on. And many people who recorded were lost along with their recordings. But fortunately for us, there were some who were saved to show the world what they had recorded. And if you see the recording, it's amazing how the speed of God's invasion of the area of the world He Himself has created. It's overwhelming. Nothing can escape. So that is a manifestation during which people are shown in that recording saying, God, God, Allah. Nothing is remembered by them but God, whom they had forgotten all his life. So the verses of the Holy Quran which speak of this, the same phenomenon, with reference to boats, is resurrected, and when it comes to mind, that this is what Allah means. So there is a manifestation, as you asked, which is a physical manifestation of God's glory and His creation, which convinces mankind that there has to be a creator. But then this manifestation takes the form of God revealing Himself to the prophets. And some prophets are overwhelmed. It's impossible for them to see the full vision of Allah's glory. That reminds us the incident of Moses demanding a roya, and what happened. And then ultimately we see the glory of God manifested in its totality, which man could capture. God's totality is something which is infinite. But that totality of God, any whole of God, can be seen at different times in different dimensions. It all depends on the viewer. Man is created with finite potentials to visualize and understand God. The maximum man can could be done by Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, as you have said, manifestation, the maximum manifestation that man could understand was done at the time of the revelation of the Quran to Hazrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, existence is there, whether we understand or not. But the existence is made to be understood, and He wants to reach the five senses. And in all these different ways He does so. Are you answered? Right? The question was, of course, related to the Quran, but not to one single verse. He had read many verses which had to be brought together to create one single message. Huh? Right. Such manifestations as are rare in nature, but when they become, when they are realized, these manifestations, their impact is very wide. It also includes animals. You see, normally a lamb is afraid of a wolf, and a deer is scared of a lion. Similarly, animals have a mutual relationship of fear and fearsomeness. Some are fearsome and some are afraid. But when these manifestations take place in nature, then there are huge storms in building, in the air, and floods begin to inundate lands and jungles, etc. Animal graves have been found in such areas, in which wolves and lambs, tigers and deers, and similarly, all those animals which are afraid of each other, they had completely forgotten their fear and they had jumbled together in a mutual protection. There's one God and one life below, you know. Everything else was forgotten. So these manifestations are immense. And these common graves of such animals are a proof of the Holy Quran's truth. That when Allah manifests Himself, then even the rocks tremble and shudder. but they have no sense to record things that animals have. And they also show this gravity of the situation, which binds them together into oneness, which is a travel towards unity. In the case of humans, they do begin to call Allah as one, the only one. But the animals do not have a tongue, but they have a behavioral expression. And through that behavioral expression, they also sing the song of unity. Maybe in their hearts, in the language we do not understand, they were calling for the oneness of God to save them. And that is another sort of manifestation. Right? Aisha, you agree? Right. Good.